right, welcome everyone. We are here at the Conservation Commission meeting on Tuesday, October 14th at the police station. To start the meeting off, there is nobody here, but I am going to question that none of the commissioners are recording.
Nope.
So we're being streamed live and recorded by LakeCAM. We're going to go around the room and introduce ourselves. Mark, please.
I'm Mark Minton, I'm the conservation agent.
John LeBlanc.
Mark Knox.
Michelle Bouchard.
Matthew Ferraro.
William Alfanos.
Thank you, everyone. So the first item we have on our agenda is Forecourt Circle. This is a new hearing to remove and replace a septic tank and piping. I'm going to officially read the posting so that we can open the hearing, and then we will discuss the need to have a continuance to the next meeting. So the Town of Lakeville Conservation Commission had a notice of a public hearing pursuant to MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act. The Lakeville Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. at the Lakeville Police Station, located at 323 Bedford Street, on a notice of intent by the applicants. The applicants, Richard and Deborah Hansen, are proposed to remove and replace a septic tank and some associated pipes, and they are located within the 100-foot buffer zone of Long Pond as part of the complete removal and replacement of the septic system, and to construct a multi-tiered patio as part of that project. The location of the project is Forecourt Circle, map number 56, block number 4, lot number 23. So I would ask for a motion to open the hearing on this matter.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of opening the hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
So one thing to point out, as our vice chair is not here and he usually has the green cards to document the responses as far as the notice of abutters. We do not have that, but I know that all of those are in place. However, there has not yet been a DEP number assigned to this project. And as we've discussed on prior meetings, and agreed that since a DEP number is needed to move forward on any project, and they oftentimes give their input and feedback at the state level, we are going to go ahead and seek to continue this to the next conservation hearing so that a DEP number can be applied, so that all of the commissioners can review any input on behalf of DEP, and then we'll take it up from there. So I'm looking for a motion to continue this hearing until...
Noted, but could I ask a question related to the DEP action regarding this?
Yes, before we take the motion, absolutely.
So when you said they give feedback, that's oftentimes Lori gives a printout of what's from the portal.
Yes.
That would be their feedback that we have not received yet. That's specifically what you're regarding.
Exactly. They oftentimes, what will happen when when an applicant files with us and they file with DEP, they will give their thoughts on how the state views the project.
Yeah, and I kind of asked that, just like you said, for informational purposes, we like to educate, and
Yep.
I thought that's what it was, and I just wanted to make sure.
Exactly that. We have historically not necessarily always waited for the DEP number, but oftentimes after the fact, we get information that is incredibly valuable from DEP, and knowing what their stance is, so that if an applicant thinks differently from what the Conservation Commission does, they can...
Or we may have acted differently having that information.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's best, since they actually can't take action, even if we approve a project, they still need a DEP number before they can contract and move forward. We would be wasting their time having them show up tonight before a DEP.
They actually need their order of
appraisals.
Conditions, which is many days later than our approval.
Exactly.
To really
Yeah.
move on. But you're
So
right.
what I'm trying to do is, with this whole process we've discussed in the last several meetings of waiting for the DEP number assignment, is streamline the process and better educate the applicants and make sure that we have better information going into a decision as well. So
Thank you. Bill, do you have?
No, I was just pointing it towards you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can I make a motion to, continue this till October 28th, 2025, here at the police station at 6:30 PM?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Nope.
So we will reconvene and hear for Court Circle on October 28th here at the police station at 6:30 PM. So next up on the agenda is the discussion of the wetland bylaw. We, at this point, just to clarify, this is an open discussion. We have had this discussion on several occasions for the last year plus. We are not currently on the warrant for this fall town meeting. So we would be looking to discuss the bylaw for application in the Springtown meeting. So at this point, this is just open for discussion.
May I?
Please.
So I see a divide, and there have been previous attempts to pass a wetland bylaw at town meeting, and it's been defeated at least twice, if I'm not
Mhm.
incorrect.
Correct.
And there's also some support now on the board. The divide that I see is, can I use you as
Sure.
an example? John would be in favor of adopting Mass DEP regulations solely, just so that, my understanding is the building commissioner would have teeth in fining and enforcement at the local level. That's it, no changes. And I think that everybody could get on board or should be on board with that. However, when you say 25-foot no touch, the Long Pond Association comes out in droves, and we've just wasted money paying somebody to review it with taxpayer money, because it's not gonna pass. So I don't care how it goes, but I think there's gonna be a lot of opposition to 25-foot no touch. If you want a wetland bylaw, I think it has to be passed in baby steps and just ratify the DEP regulations if we wanna do that. And I think that we're wasting our time if we can't agree on that. I think it's in the best interest of us, that the use of taxpayer money to have counsel, or for us to try and retain funds to pay somebody else to draft something, if it's not gonna pass. I'd love to hear anybody else's feedback and tell me I'm wrong.
All right, so is there an in-between ground? What is it the people who are on a pond opposed to a 25-foot no touch?
So if I
Sure.
may, since I'm the acting chairperson tonight, historically, we have overreached on our attempts to have a wetland bylaw, and that has worked against us. And what, in my opinion, which is very similar to Commissioner Knox's opinion, I believe, is that we sort of need to take a crawl, walk, run approach to a bylaw in town for wetlands protection. The imperative thing is to adopt and ratify the state Wetlands Protection Act, because if we do not do that in town, we can't fine individuals, and then we end up in a situation where we have been, I have to call somebody out, 160 Federal or 160 Bedford Street. We can issue a cease and desist, we can send DEP, but we can't fine them because we have not actually ratified the protection and the Protection Act of the state at the local level. So we have no teeth ourselves until we do something. So that should be the core, and that should be our first mission, is to say we accept and as a town are abiding by Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act. Anything above and beyond that is something that we should carefully approach, but it should be, in my opinion, and based on also talking to folks how they would vote, and it should be a very simple step, and when we start talking about the historical concept of the 25-foot no-touch, it's very situationally dependent, and it was supposed to be on new construction only under a really subset of restrictions. But I think that we need to put that off, or else we'll never get the core Wetland Protection Act adopted in town.
And so may I,
Please.
I think to speak to your question, Bill, where do we meet in the middle? Again,
Actually, I don't even really know what the law would be as far as 25-foot no touch.
There is
I-
no
I-
law to
well,
that right now.
what is being
that would be
proposed?
tried to be added in, is what, Member Yates would like to do, is add that in so no project could go within 25 feet of the buffer zone rather than right up to. Right now, you can go right up to. But you still have to follow DEP guidelines, and if any work that you're doing is within 100 feet, you are in the jurisdiction of Conservation Commission and DEP's Wetlands Protection Act. And I'm getting ahead, but I'm trying to, I think, speak to what you asked about what's the middle ground. If we did ratify and we had a bylaw that was just simply the Wetlands Protection Act, and we wanted to go back to town meeting, and we wanted to create a buffer zone that we said, let's just say it's 10 feet. Let's meet in the middle, 0 and 25. Let's say it's 12 and a half, I don't care. But define new construction. I think
Right.
that's the key, is a definition which will not get done unless we force that on that round 2. And new construction, I think, again, to get it to pass for all the people that live on a lake in Lakeville, lots of them, to be on board with that, I think you still need to create an exemption that says if you have a lawn and you want to put a patio within the buffer zone, you are grandfathered. You still need to file, but you will not be denied because it's not new construction. Your home was there, you're
Right.
not over the lot coverage. You need to create clear delineation between new construction that is a developer coming in,
Put in a brand new house. that
clearing
wasn't there
land,
before.
yeah,
Yeah.
and even at that, again, we're a year from now in this discussion, but
Yeah.
I think it's informational to be able to say, all right, there's a guy that does a lot of work in the Clark Shores neighborhood, and he buys up all these little lots they're all pre-existing non-conforming, and he tears down 5 houses and he makes 1. I think that's an exemption.
Yeah.
You know, he's dealing with small lots, he's making a big improvement. He was already within the buffer zone, so to speak. Even though he's doing a little bit major build, he's making all better, and it all was developed
Overall,
at
an
that
improvement
point.
for what it was before.
Yeah, so again, I think the definition of new construction really needs to be clearly defined as undeveloped land becoming developed.
And it has a larger footprint than previous had. Like you said, there's 5 lots going to
Yeah,
one,
well, he's
which is
buying
good.
8,000 square foot lots.
Yeah, and there's one going in there compared to having buying a small lot and put a larger house that was in there before.
Right.
A larger house that
Yeah.
was originally in that lot. I don't
think
think
that-
she'd be able to do that.
The totality of the situation and the circumstances should also come into play. It should not be a black and white, because there are gonna be gray areas. There was always a summer cottage, and now it's a 3-year round.
3-season, yeah.
A 3-season or all year round, and we're upgrading the septic. And to do that, we have to do X, Y, Z. So we have to be open to what it takes to be,
And what you
to
don't
live in
wanna,
this town.
what you don't wanna create is the environment of, cause it's how it was before I was on the board. Me and my wife had a small cottage in town and had some problems with the process. And it made me wanna get involved, but everybody in the neighborhood where we were had the mindset of, screw that, just do it on the weekend. it's not even worth filing. They just say no. And you don't wanna be that, cause then they're gonna just do it on the weekend.
Yeah.
As is, you know, a lot of those smaller lots in some of those neighborhoods on the pond, they really are already dancing around, which is not us, but it's building department regulations for lot coverage, cause we only allow 25% lot coverage. So when you got a 8,000 square foot lot, it's got a 2,000 square foot house, a driveway and a patio, you're over.
Yeah.
Lakeville has a very unique position in the Commonwealth that we provide more fresh drinking water to any resident, any count of residents than any other location across the Commonwealth. And we have to balance protecting our vital resources with the rights of property owners and falling within the line. And I think that fine balance, Mark, you just, you know, lined it out clearly, is don't be afraid to come to us with questions. We don't want to get weaponized, which we saw last year, and I know Commissioner Blank can speak to that. We've had neighbors say, oh, they did that without telling you. We want people to come to us and find the best way to do something and protect the environment, as well as, you know, they own their property, they have the right to build on it. So how to do it in the best way moving forward.
Yeah,
And I think that's what our bylaw should speak to, is how to,
Especially with intent, when we put the intent in the front of that.
And I do believe in grandfathering things in. If that was your property, you've been there for a long time, and it's,
if your family has lived here and owned property since 1853, then you probably have a little more rights than somebody who bought property 2 years ago.
Well,
I don't agree.
okay.
If you buy a
Everybody
piece
has
of
the
land,
same.
You have the same property rights that everybody does. I'm not in favor of increased government, authority. I think that, you know, by passing a bylaw that reiterates the
The state bylaw.
yeah, is enough. That law is already on the books. That's just saying that we have the right to enforce it, which we should have. I'm good with that. Anything beyond that, I wouldn't be in favor of anyway. But that's my personal.
Okay,
And
what
I
are-
think a lot of Lakeville people, as soon as they hear the word bylaw,
Yeah.
get skeptical.
Yeah.
That's why you're not gonna pass one that's gonna be restrictive.
No, but once we agree to adopt the state law,
You may not
that
even
gives us
pass
the
that.
power, that gives us the power of
Right.
DEP. We might not,
Right.
but
So what are the positives of a 25-foot no construction thing then?
It's a good question.
I would say I like situationally dependent, because we do know generally the closer you get to the resource, there's a connection between the upland and the resource. But there's a lot of factors that determine what's the slope, you know, what's the resource that we're talking about? Is it, you know, a pond, or is it a, you know, forested red maple swamp? So I think it's situationally dependent. I mean, I think intuitively, and there's stuff in
But we have
the act that
we have
doesn't,
a law that already protects.
yeah, I'm
And we can require, you know, that people install things temporarily to protect the environment
Yep.
until the whole project is settled.
And I agree with the incremental approach. Both Michelle and Mark, I'm taking notes, just thinking, I've worked in enforcement. I did a lot of enforcement, regulatory enforcement, working with Coast Guard, and it's more about building rapport with people. You want people to come to you. You don't want people saying, they're just gonna say no, take your chances, cut that stuff down. It's gonna happen, and we still have a law, you know, that we gotta enforce, but at the same time, when you can work with people, has been my experience, that you want people to come in and go, it wasn't that bad,
That's
you
what
know,
I-
we got the permit.
And that's what it says on the, like what Lori gave me for the MACC. It says to adopt the state, and then from the state, the town builds from there.
that's the
And
incremental.
the
approach.
reason for that is the customers can go back and pull up a wetlands book and understand what they can do, and we can also guide them through it.
Yeah.
To make it comfortable, so, but it does say that, it says it right on it, and the town from there.
Yeah,
any
it makes,
changes.
and I think, you know, to be able to enforce the law, whether it's Nate, the building inspector doing that or not, it's tough to get this DEP engaged because they've got a lot of stuff to do, yeah, whatever it is. It'd be nice to have it where.
DEP doesn't just do wetlands either.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
Right.
Right.
asbestos and other health issues
Wells,
and.
all that stuff.
Right.
And that's the crux is, and where we're running into, and to highlight the importance of adopting Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act is that DEP is so overburdened. If we don't adopt it, we are in a situation where we've been in the past where we have really no enforcement authority except don't do it again. No, please don't do it again. I mean it, please don't do it again.
Yeah.
Not adding on to it, I agree with you, John, that, you know, whether you've owned the property for 150 years or you own it now, and that's why I really want that, I want to keep the gray area. I want it to be a discussion, not a black and white of, well, I'm at 26 feet. What really is going to happen at 26 feet that wasn't going to happen at 24 feet? And we've seen cases, if they're 20 feet and they're on the same plane, but if they're 20 feet and the builder is 100 feet upslope of a current resident, that's a completely different situation. And that's really where I see our conversations continuing to evolve as we move forward.
And I could actually see, I'm not advocating it, but following that logic, you could see where if it's estimated habitat for endangered species, maybe it's less than 25 feet. I mean, I don't want to put,
Again, it's situationally, and that's,
yeah, I think you look at what the science tells you, you look what the regs say. That's a little devil's advocate. I would say, again, it's situational, it's slope, it's what the resource you're talking about. I'm sensitive to people own their property. This is America. I've said that to, you don't want regulatory takings. I shouldn't even say that, but.
Yeah, we're not gonna take anybody's land.
Well, there's a gray area. You
Define
can,
a 25-foot no touch is really, it's a
Yeah,
taking of
yeah.
your property rights.
Right.
with that,
100%, yeah.
and if you read some of the legal opinions on this issue, you gotta have a basis for it. There has to be some, benefit to the resource. You can't just say,
There's a line,
There's
and
a line.
don't cross it.
yeah.
We
and-
drew it because we have this stick this long.
And I like MACC's website because they have their whole case law thing. You can go in there and find cases there's cases about this type of thing, so. You have to there has to be a basis. It can't, like you just said, Mark, it can't just be this line. It's a
Yes.
situational. But again, it does intuitively, the closer you get to a resource, generally, but that's just generally.
Yeah. So this is a heated, emotional debate as we have seen, but it's not gonna come up again until
For who?
this, it's gonna come up, but it's not gonna come up until the
Nobody
spring.
seems that emotional here.
No,
What are you talking about?
no, this is a great conversation as far as I'm concerned. But I think it is something that we have to continue to discuss, and we should put on the agenda moving forward before it goes on the town warrant next year.
I think we should have the same discussion we had tonight regarding, my suggestion would be to take a few votes and see where all the members are
Yeah.
as far as, can we move forward with this? When we raise to this level, can we, and maybe the hands go down a little bit and try to sell that if we're gonna all do DEP regulations only, we all agree that's where we should stick, and I think that should be, with the balance of the board, that's where we should go. And the reason I say that is to not waste a lot of time and efforts and council reviewing stuff that isn't gonna happen. Cause if only 3 members are behind it and 3 are opposed and 1's abstaining, doesn't look good at town meeting.
Agreed. Yeah. And that's the spring, so we have a good chunk of time to maybe at one of our lighter meetings, or we schedule a special meeting to let folks come in and learn about if we adopted the state Wetlands Protection Act, what does that mean? We're not talking anything else
Well, I
but
think
that.
you'd have to do some outreach if you're trying to pass any.
A 100%.
Yeah, some
So we
education.
start with that gradual, and let's open it up and say, people come here, ask questions, or we'll host a special that is just talk about the Wetlands Protection Act and what does it mean to you if we adopt it? Not going anything beyond what's already in DEP's back pocket.
Yeah, and if we're gonna do that, I think one of the points that will be a point of contention for the people on that side of the table will be, we've brought up the finding and sort of clarify that that's because somebody filled in wetlands. It's a blatant disregard for the resource area. It's not because you walked this way or, you know, and give a definition to that. Be prepared for those answers of what are they're gonna feel like that's an enforcement threat against them if they do something wrong in their yard. So we need to be prepared to defuse that, to make sure that that's not how it's perceived, nor is that the intent.
I think that's a great idea. We can even show, you know, historically, we've had after actions. This work was done 25 years ago. We're not finding anybody. We're just going ahead and hearing it and closing it out. So to show that, like, you acted in good faith, we're accepting of that.
I think we probably wanna be cautious about,
Not just,
naming specific locations or,
yeah, but
Names.
but
but using the general
generalized
example.
examples.
Yep.
Well,
Okay.
and to the education and outreach piece, it's not just about enforcement, so defining what it is, the message we wanted, because you want the drinking water, you want water to be safe to drink, you want, you know.
What's water quality?
Yeah, you don't want to be flooded because we filled in a huge chunk of forested, or whatever, you know, that's one of the reasons we're protecting wetlands, so.
Yep.
I mean, if we could focus beyond just the hammer and the, you know, the why, like, again, it's already been said, but there's a lot of good reasons to protect wetlands that, you know, benefits everybody, not, you know, we're not here to shut people down.
Moving on. Good.
Madam?
Anything else? Bill?
Do we have any idea whether local surrounding towns have, if they've adopted DEP, or they have their own?
We know Wareham because of
We know
George.
Wareham and Middleborough and a couple other, but what we can try to do is, what I will work on doing for the next meeting on the 28th is give a list of the surrounding communities and perhaps provide a table. So Mark and I can work on that if
Yeah,
you're willing to. I'm happy to take
absolutely.
that on.
Yeah,
Who
I'm happy
across
to
the
help.
Commonwealth has actually established? It should be pointed out, nobody has the unique characteristics that we have in town. So it is more important for us to adopt one, but we do know that Middleborough, whom we are partnered with in mutual aid in a number of other circumstances, has adopted it. Wareham has. and then-
Wareham has adopted even more stringent.
Wareham has.
Because they have so much coastline.
Yes, Wareham has a number of additions in it, on top of. But we can work on creating basically a grid of who has adopted mass and then what have they added on.
Yeah, 'cause I think the public would be interested, like, oh, all the towns around us have it, you know, maybe it's the reason why it's good, or if no one has it, maybe it's the reason why they shouldn't have it.
Yeah, I think that's something that we can definitely work on growing in the next couple of meetings. Anything else under wetland bylaw? Okay.
No, that's good.
Moving on to the meeting minutes, we have before us the meeting minutes of July 22nd of 2025. So I would look for a motion to accept the meeting minutes as they have been presented to us.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
He wasn't here.
Thank you. So moving on, we are officially now in the new business section. This is not listed on the agenda, but I would like to discuss that in the future. new business, just as a numbered item listed on the
Is
agenda.
that the same as unanticipated?
Unanticipated.
Would
It
be
could
like
be
that.
anticipated, but it's new, it's something, new business is anything that we haven't officially discussed on the record before. So this is open for any of the commission members or any of the public to bring up. So anybody who has new business that they would like to bring to the commission, when we move past new business to old business, it will be something we have discussed before.
Okay.
And we just keep returning to. Unlike, and the wetland bylaw is a little bit of old business, but there's always a potential to vote on that. So we make it a standing agenda item at this point. in
So
time.
can we loop adding new business and old business into one motion?
That is, yeah, my request actually to just put it on an agenda item.
So I'll make the motion to add new business and old business as additional agenda items going forward.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, does anybody have any new agenda, new business items? I have one, seeing nobody else does. It has been, having gotten the add new business, it has been brought to several individuals' attention that when the select board makes new postings, new appointments, should I say, to a commission, and there's,
Sorry, I looked up the wetland town bylaw, who
Oh.
adopted. Lakeville's one in the middle with everybody around.
has one but us.
Yeah. I'll show everybody later, sorry for the chuckle. Were
So
you talking about reorganizing the board?
You back with us? I was, in fact,
Oh.
yeah. Thank you for.
You didn't do that in July when you were supposed to?
We haven't done it in years, have we?
I don't know.
So we redid it last, they redid it, last summer when it needed to be done because,
Because your father stepped down.
yeah, my father stepped down as chairman, and so there was a reorg. There is supposed to be, it's generally a 1 year when there are annual appointments or reappointments. There was a reorg when my father stepped down as chairman, but he was still on the board.
Right.
Was that 2024?
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was the summer of 2024. So over 2025, we were at the annual mark. We had a couple of, I was an off-cycle appointment in the winter because there were vacancies. There have been a number of appointments since then, and even more recently. So it has been brought up to numerous individuals that I'm aware of, and then was brought to my attention as well and questioned, why didn't we, like the other boards, reorganize, sorry. So the only ask that I have is that, this is an important decision that should be discussed, and I would like to put it on the agenda for the next meeting for us to discuss, because our chairman and our vice chairman are not here today. So I don't think that we can properly discuss or vote on a reorg, but I would.
So moved.
So Commissioner.
Your motion was to put it on the agenda
For the
for
next
reorganization on the October 28th meeting,
Correct,
Do I have a
under new
second?
business.
correct.
Do I have a
I'll
second?
second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to discuss reorganization, basically a reappointing of a chairman and a vice chair on the next Conservation Commission, which will be held October 28th at 6:30 PM here at the police station. We are open for discussion at this time.
So what do you mean reorganization? Do you mean have everyone voted at the same time? It would, like say next July, everyone would get voted in for so much time?
If anyone's
it's-
interested in becoming
the chair.
the chairperson or the vice chair,
That there should be a turnover in that position.
Oh, okay, all
for
right.
those positions. Like, so I'll go back to prior to the select board being a 5-member board, when it was a 3-member board. What they did was they adhered well to the select board member in their 3rd year became the chair.
Okay.
In the 2nd year of their term, they became the vice chair. So in your 1st year, you weren't, you had just some committee involvement with overseeing school committee or whatever. Depending on, every board is supposed to reorganize after election or appointment.
Right,
It's part of
I understand now,
it's part
okay.
of parliamentary procedures, just so everybody understands. If you have a president and a vice president, you have a president and vice president and 2 or 3 vice presidents after that. The vice president will initially move up. The third will move to the second, will move to the first. There's part of the progression process, but as all of that, there is when there is a term expired, whether somebody is reappointed or not, you as a board meet and vote on who should be the chair of that board, and that's in essence parliamentary procedure. You can reappoint the same chair, and you can have the same chair, and you can have the same vice chair. In our case, we don't have any officers other than chair and vice chair, so just to be clear, you can have the same chair. But
Just
the
need to vote on it.
idea is to let the new members have a say in who is leading their future. So it has been brought to our attention, and it's fitting, we haven't really discussed it because of the events of the last 6 months and all the changes and the emotions, I will confess to that have gone into the board, but the issue has been brought a couple of times, and so now that it is only fair to the 3 of you as the newest members to have a say in who leads us moving into the future.
Okay.
So all we're asking today is, given that we have a quorum, but we don't have our chair and our vice chair who have a lot of legacy knowledge, we don't want to vote on it today. So I would like to vote to move it to the next meeting. So we have a first
In a second.
and a second. Do we have any further discussion
Nope.
or
Answer my
questions
question.
about the
Thank you.
procedure? Okay, so all in favor and in the interest of the procedure and the
Roll call.
requests, roll call vote, please.
LeBlanc, aye.
Knox, aye.
Bouchard, aye.
Matthew for, aye.
William Alfanos, yes.
Okay, thank you all. So we are just gonna put on the agenda for the next meeting, that we are going to discuss and vote on reorganization. We don't have any old business on the agenda unless anybody else has old business, which has been previously discussed in the open meeting, just in case. I'm gonna, go ahead, please.
Just was kind of thinking with the permanently placing old business, new business on the agendas, which is great. Mark's gonna give us kind of like the rundown of what's been going on behind the scenes, so to speak, in that. It's a good time for everybody to ask, any updates on X or Y? Sometimes we forget about when things happen.
I have a question.
Yeah, I believe that the agent report should be a standing item under new business, is that what you're kind of going?
Yeah, but I'm not trying to steer Mark in a direction as much as sometimes 3 or 4 meetings later, we'll just be like, somebody will be like, whatever happened?
Right.
I think John's about to do that.
Right. So,
And
I think,
may I?
go right ahead.
Please,
Captain's
Please.
Way.
where are
75
we?
days to
So Captain's Way was
constructive denial.
we couldn't come to a resolution.
Exactly, yeah.
DEP
So-
came out
They
and they
applied
have
to
75
DEP.
days to respond is how
Okay.
I believe that was left. And Mark could give a better
no, that's
articulated.
Yeah.
exactly right. So
Just-
we're waiting to,
For a moment, for everybody, what I wanna, for what it's worth in my place, I'm trying to, I've learned a lot of people are watching. So, Captain's Way, we had a vote to approve, which did not pass. We had a vote to deny, which did not pass. So the applicant chose to go to DEP to appeal, so it was a constructive deny, right? We couldn't come to an affirmative decision. So the applicant went to DEP for approval to, conduct their building.
And
So that is the
actually-
discussion that we're having right now.
And this is applicable to that 25-foot no touch.
Yes.
The closest, they were 13 and a half
13 feet.
from the wetland line, and that's, some members of this board were enforcing the 25-foot no-touch rule that this board has, I guess, multiple times in the past enforced. And my reasoning behind voting against that was, I thought that we had a lot of assurances from the engineers, for things that they were gonna do to protect the wetland in addition to the stuff that they applied for. They had agreed to do some things beyond, which I'm not sure if DEP approves it, will happen. So I'd wanna monitor that and see how that turns out.
Agreed, they were well within the state regulations when they applied to us, and it was a personal feeling about the 25-foot no touch on new development, but they were going over and above in their application to mitigate the circumstances.
I don't remember when the clock started on that.
That's
It
what
was
I'm
from the day
looking
of their
for.
site visit.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for, the site visit.
Oh, when DEP came out?
Yeah.
They did come out?
22nd?
Yes,
Okay.
Is it September 22nd, sound right?
yeah.
Or is that's,
Uh,
no, that's old, it was past that.
It was Monday.
It was a
Yeah, I
Monday.
think you're right. It was a Monday. Yeah, it was Monday, the
They,
22nd.
from that time, they said 75
Yeah,
days to
yep,
respond.
22nd.
but
Yes.
Don't know if that'll be, our response is, we need more information, or,
Yeah.
but I do think that they were gonna keep us informed. 'Cause
Yeah, I mean, I just wanna see how it
Did-
goes.
Yeah.
God, I'm drawing a blank on, the DEP, Jacqueline Sidman, is that who?
It sounds right.
She sent an email, I think it went out, I'll double check, but I think, I'll send it to everyone. It was basically, thanks for meeting. If you have any additional information, comments, feel free to contact me. We'll be in touch. If you didn't see that email, I'll forward it to you, but I didn't think we had any more information, but I'll forward it on. I can't remember the distribution.
So we're still
Everybody-
waiting on them,
Yep.
basically.
Yeah,
We'll be waiting a while, 75 days from September 22nd.
If they get it in 75 days.
Yeah.
They could be longer than that.
yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see what they say, but when the initial filing went through and they got their DEP number, DEP had no input. They had no, response, which is usually telling. If they don't say something at the initial filing, they're not usually arguing about this development.
I'll speak to that, because I reached out to DEP about that. Did you not have any comments? And I spoke to the person, at DEP who actually reviewed that one, and they said, yeah, no, typically, they attributed it to timing and that things come in and they're swamped. So it may or may not be, it is kind of telling there was no comments on there. I agree, but it's, on face it is, but it's not always that there was no.
Yeah, under a further review, they may.
Yeah, that's all, thank you. But,
Well, we'll look forward to your updates on that under old business at the next meeting, if there are any, if we hear from E DEP.
yeah, I can reach out and I'll, yeah, well, it's a little early, I got 75 days, but I'll forward everyone in, just in case you
Yeah,
didn't see this.
don't bug them. It's
Yeah.
way too soon.
Yeah, don't bug them, just watch and let us know.
Like I had said on one of those meetings right after that, I think it's just a good teachable moment for us to see how
Right.
the state reacts to that and what they do. I think that'll be very informative and educational, so that's really
Yeah.
why I would wanna know. Is
Yeah,
consider
absolutely.
them the pros, so.
So,
Does anybody else have any old business that you would like to revisit at this time?
Maybe. Is it just one meeting in November
It is.
and one meeting in December,
Yes.
correct?
So November, there is one meeting.
It's a
and
Thursday instead of a
It's a
Tuesday.
Thursday,
Okay.
and that was because of
I don't know if
the
Mark knew about
holidays.
that or not.
We adjusted with the holidays, and that has been posted accordingly on the town site. And it is, I think you were right, did you say November 13th?
November 13th.
Yeah, so it'll be, and that's a Wednesday.
Thursday? Yeah.
It's an off date, it'll be November 13th at 6:30.
It'd be a quick one. Paige is playing the Jets that night.
Townsend Green have.
I will speak to the chairperson and ask her to make it a quick one. So if you ask questions and you drag it long, it's on you, Bill.
Okay.
Townsend Green have a wetland bylaw.
Yes.
Wow.
So, we are going to share this map across, and
That should be part
part of our publishing, yeah. How many towns, across the Commonwealth have a wetland bylaw, and again, that could just mean that they adopted the state
The state,
the state
Right, yeah.
bylaw. And I think it's a great place to start. Again, that crawl, walk, run model, because we have seen several of us, it get defeated time and again by overreaching.
Mhm.
So, okay, so no other old business? Sir?
Motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Second.
can I ask one thing real quick, or
No,
just,
no.
Discussion
We made the
about
motion,
adjourning.
sorry. Is it
Oh,
vote
so-
adjourning?
after
He
the
doesn't
meeting?
have to
That's
vote.
fine,
No,
that's
go
fine,
ahead.
no, it's okay, I already, that's fine, John, that's fine,
I'm
you
just
know,
kidding.
I'm not, no.
Please,
Yeah. No, I
Agent
just, so the
Min.
MACC conference is coming up, Saturday the 25th in Devon's, and I know Lori sent out an email, but if you wanna register, my understanding is you'll get reimbursed, pay for it. I find them helpful, I've been to 2 of them now, but they also have them online too, which are oftentimes more convenient, but I don't know if anybody's planning to go, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I'm
myself.
registered.
Yeah, so, it's hard to carpool, I'd suggest that, but, you know, sometimes I'm headed back into Boston or wherever, so.
Yep.
And you don't wanna ride with me anyhow. No, I don't know,
you don't know.
we'll see you there probably.
okay. Anything else? So we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
We're
Good night,
good, so-
everybody. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, LakeCAM.